All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Pigeon Whole Motorcycle Podcast. Okay, so I've been chatting with this guy back and forth. He listens to the show, and I've been checking out his stuff. And obviously, I'm not the only one that found his stuff interesting, because just had an article in Pipe Burn last week. So I'll just introduce you, Spero. How are you doing today, buddy?
Great, Dave. Thanks very much for getting a hold of me. I really appreciate this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
is. Been listening to your show for quite a while. I really enjoy it.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? It's I'm glad somebody's listening. It's good that we're hanging out.
Sometimes the shows are so good I can't even work on my bike when I'm listening to the show.
Well, I guess that's good and bad at the same time.
Yeah, especially had a couple of those guys from India there. And I was like laughing the whole time the interview was on. It was like I could not pick up a wrench, man. It was so fun. It was so cool.
So let's start off. Let's tell everybody first of all where are we talking to you at here?
I'm up at our cottage in just on Virgin Bay, up northern Ontario, about 200 kilometers north of Toronto. Yeah, it's really nice up here. There's lots of trees. And, we're up just for the weekend.
Nice. Now, so when you say your cottage up there, so now where are you from?
I actually live in Whitby, Ontario. It's about 40 kilometers east of Toronto, which is about half hour east of Toronto. Yeah, just right up, not that far actually. So, yeah, But I actually work in Toronto myself. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So if
it's
anybody
nice up there,
it looks beautiful there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's nice. I can almost see the beach from here.
Beautiful. See, I said before we got on here, I said you're making me jealous on here, man. That's not cool. So let's talk about this first. So as I go to your Instagram here, your Instagram is Spetso, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
what happened?
How did that come about?
What happened there? I used to race cross-country bicycles through the trails, mountain biking. Quite a few years ago, and the first long distance race I entered was about 50 kilometers through the trails. And when I finished the race, they had my name down wrong. They spelled it Spetzo, Spetzo, and it just stuck from there. So my kids started calling me Spetzo, so I just started like that. So I just left it like that. So
that's great.
So that's what they know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So and I just left it on Instagram like that. I just have never changed it. So, I actually go by. Sorry, I actually do go by Sane Motion Moto also, but that's linked to my my Spetzo account too. So
we're going to talk about that because that is super interesting to me too. So let's start at the beginning. So how do you get into motorcycles?
Well, I started years ago when I was about 14. I used to work as a dishwasher at my dad's restaurant, and I saved up enough money to buy a 1974 Yamaha DT100, and I used it for up here. We kids, we all grew up here, so we used to ride through the trails, and we had a lot of fun up here back then. We had just like 12 of us would go riding through the trails and go to different spots that you couldn't get to by walking or by car. So we just ride there all day and get chased by the police once in a while because all of us are underage. We're like 13, 14, now we just get chased by the police once in a while. We got caught quite a few times, got away a few times, but that's how I got started. And then my brother had bought a couple of bikes. He had bought a 1974 Honda CB750, which they own. And I used to take it on him when I was 14 and ride it on the streets with no license, no insurance, no nothing.
Of course.
So that's how I got started. And then the first time I actually took it on the road, I was driving it down the street and I had to pull it into the gas station. I was only 14, and that's a big bike for a 14-year-old. And just as I was pulling into the gas station, a cop had drove into the into the gas station at the same time, and I was sweating bullets. I was sweating so much I dropped the bike at the gas pumps. And I was so pumped. I just picked it back up, right? And I just left my helmet on because I looked pretty young, right? And he didn't look at me or anything. So I filled it up and just went on my way. So
nice.
Yeah. And one day, actually, my brother caught me riding it. I was about 2 hours away from home riding his bike when I was 14 years old. And I saw him going the other way in his car. And all of a sudden I look in the mirror and I see his brake lights go on. He had recognized the bike. So I seen him turn around And then there's like, I pulled over to the side of the road. He goes, "What are you doing up here?" I'm going like, "I'm just going up for a little ride." He goes, "You know how far you are?" just turn around and go home. so he was pretty cool about it. He didn't bug me about it or anything. So, and I still rode it after that too.
Right.
Yeah. So I actually had just bought that bike off him last year. So I have that bike in my possession now. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And he is the original owner for that bike, and now I have it. So that's the next bike I'm building. Actually, I started building that one already.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, now let's jump to
history with me too.
Yeah, no, that's good. You know, it's fun to have something that you have a little, a good story too behind it, so you can.
Yeah, exactly,
cool.
exactly.
So tell me about this pipe burn bike. This thing's really awesome, man.
The bike itself?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The bike. If I don't know if you read the pipe burn story, but that bike came to me on the way to the junkyard. My brother had picked it up from his girlfriend's backyard, and he was taken to the dump because it was a mess. He was sitting there for years, rotting away. And he called me up. He says, "I got this bike in the back of my truck." He says, "Would you want to take a look at it?" I said, "Sure." So he brought it over. I saw it was an SR500, and it was just rotted to pieces. It was just garbage, right? And I said, "Okay, leave it here." I changed the fuel in it, put a new spark plug in it, and it fired right up. And I was like, "Geez, man, that's all right." And he had an ownership for it too. So he gave me the ownership for it. And at that time, I was living in a one-bedroom apartment. My wife and I were living in a one-bedroom apartment, and I was working in my dad's garage at his house. So I took the bike all apart at his place. I brought all the parts up to my one-bedroom apartment in the living room and started to clean it and rebuild the whole bike just back to original actually. So after I fixed it all up back to original, I had ridden it for about 2-3 years, off and on, and then things happen, kids come, this and that. So I stopped riding it after a while, and I had sold it to one of the guys at work. He had rode it once or twice, and he crashed it, and he didn't want to ride it anymore. So I had bought it back from him. And he hadn't even changed the ownership over at the time either. So I just took the bike back. So,
right.
And when I went to start it after I got it back from it, it had caught on fire. Yeah, I started it. All the wiring started caught on fire on the bike. So I just put it away for a while, and I said, "Okay, I got to start rebuilding this bike." And that's when I decided to go for it and rebuild that bike. But it took me quite a few years to actually get it going. And what had happened was, I went to a couple of shows last year. I went to the Glory Day show in Pittsburgh just as a spectator, because I knew quite a few people from up here that went down there. Rob Chappell was down there from the Originator, which I know Rob. There was Brian from Motor Bricks and a couple of other people, right? So I went down there. We had a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. And then there was another show up here called Freedom Machines. I went to that one too, and I really enjoyed it. I said, "You know what? I'm going to try to build my bike, see if I can get into a show next year." Yeah. And so then I heard about the Greasy Dozen. They had submissions in November. I think it was November 18th. So I submitted my bike, and I hadn't heard from them. And then all of a sudden, I see they started following me on Instagram, and I got an email that said, "You're selected, 1 out of 12 guys." So for a cafe bike. So that's when I really started putting the push on to get that bike ready. It had to be ready for May. So in the meantime, I submitted the bike to the hand build show. I said, "There's no way I'm going to get in the hand build show." I said, "Absolutely there's no way." And I said to myself, "I'm going to try anyways." So I submitted it, and they invited me to go to the hand build show. So I said, "Holy crap, this is amazing." So unfortunately, that one got postponed.
Right.
Greasy Dozen got canceled. And then I also submitted to Fuel Cleveland. Yeah. And they invited me to Fuel Cleveland. That one got canceled. And then the Freedom Machines up here, that one got canceled. They got invited to that one. And Pittsburgh, Glory Days, Kurt, he invited me to go to that one. And they just canceled that one last week too. So the only one left is hopefully the hand-built show in November still goes. I hope. We'll see. We'll see.
I really hope
if they let me cross the border.
True. I think you can cross the border. They just don't let us in to you.
If we come back, they want. Yeah, if they want us back here, they have to stay in quarantine for 14 days right now. So we'll see how it goes. But anybody coming over the border has to stay in quarantine for 14 days before they can get into public up here. Yeah, they're really being really careful up here.
I guess so. That's a good thing.
Yeah, things are pretty good up here so far.
So fingers crossed for hand build, because
I really, really want to go to that show. I'm just, even as a spectator, I always wanted to go to that show. So it'll be nice to go down with a bike. It'll be really exciting. So a lot of interesting people down there, a lot of cool bikes. Yeah. Maybe we could
That
meet
is-
up and have a beer down there.
Or 12.
Or 12. That's right.
Yeah, whatever you like.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be ready.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I think if we actually finally all get out of here, it'll be nice just to. But November, let's just keep our fingers crossed because that'd be great.
Yeah. I
So
hope
funny
We'll
that
see how it
you
goes.
build this bike. This is the first show bike, right?
That's
and
my
you
first
get-
build.
Oh, it's your first
Yeah.
build, and you get invited to 5 different things and
Yeah,
cancel or postponed.
So far, there's only one left. Maybe if the handle goes, then that'll be great. But
Right.
that one I really want to go to the most of all of them. So I hope
Right.
that one goes through. So yeah.
Wow,
And the
that's
Glory
awesome.
Days show in Pittsburgh is actually a really good show.
Cool.
Yeah. I think C2 Christian Newman's bike was down there last year.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. A lot of good bikes down there.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And Pittsburgh, I heard, isn't that the one that's in like a kind of an industrial place too? It's kind of
It's in the Carey's Furnaces. Yeah, it's an historical site down there. It's a really cool place to have a bike show. It's a big old place, and it's really cool. Yeah, it's a really good show, and they put on a really good show down there too. Yeah,
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, really good show.
Okay, so
yeah,
okay, we were talking about. So I go to your Instagram page and
Yeah.
I see that, and I click over to Sane. Is it Sane Motion? Is that right?
yeah, Sane Motion. Yeah.
Okay, vapor blasting. Tell me about that. So that's your business.
No, actually, I'm a truck mechanic.
Oh,
Truck
okay.
and trailer mechanic. I bought that vapor blasting machine a couple of years ago just to do my own stuff.
Right.
And as I just put a couple of words out there that I was doing it, I started getting guys bringing in their engine cases for motorcycles, their carburetors, all kinds of stuff. Just not very many, just one here, one there. But this last 4 or 5 months, it's been non-stop. It's only a side little thing for me, and it's been non-stop. Honestly, this last few weeks, I've done, I don't know, 5, 6 engines, sometimes a week. I got guys bringing me snowmobile engines, outboard motors to vapor blast, so they come out really like brand new after I blast them. So the guys are really happy. And so even yesterday, I figured the summer's going to be dead because who's going to build their bikes up in the summer? I guess with this COVID thing, everybody's staying home and they got lots of time. The guys are bringing me parts. I got a couple of guys that bring me an engine a week, the same guys, over and over and over again. It's crazy. It's crazy. The different engines. There's a couple of guys that I know that are really into the bike restoration. So there's a couple of guys that build BSAs and Triumphs from the 30s and 40s and 50s. So this father and son, they brought me, I bet you, 10 engines in the last month to vapor blast for them. And it's, they love the product because once it's finished, it's like it comes out like a brand new engine. The casings are like brand new. Yeah.
Right.
It's really cool stuff.
So what made you buy the vapor blaster in the first place?
It's a funny thing. It's a funny story. When I ordered the wheels for my SR500, I ordered them from Cognito Moto, and the guy asked me, he says, "Would you like the anodizing to be shiny, or you want it flat?" I said, "Well, how do you get flat anodizing?" He goes, "Well, we vapor blast them first, and then we anodize them." Okay, I figured, okay, try it. So then that's when I looked into the vapor blasting. I said, "What is this vapor blasting? I never heard of it." So I looked at it. Oh, that's pretty cool. So that's cool. So I said to myself, my son works with me, my oldest son, and we collect scrap metal because we do a lot of scrap on the trucks, right? So we had put all our scrap metal money together, and we had bought that vapor blasting machine with our scrap metal money. So it's pretty cool, right? Yeah. So initially we just bought it for ourselves to do our own stuff, and I just been swamped with it the last couple of months. It's been crazy. Yeah. So it's been really busy. No, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be able to earn a living at it, but I mean it's a nice little side thing for me. So
sure. So if somebody's listening right now and needs something vapor blasted, can they call you?
Yeah, I mean, the guys have been calling me all the time. Yeah, I've been getting calls like crazy. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? I said, sure, bring it by. Sure. But I only do it I do it after work and on weekends. So it's not like I don't do it during working hours. I just do it after work and stuff like that. So yeah.
Sure.
So it's cool, yeah.
So that's cool. So is that bike that was in Pipeburn, is that like your daily driver? Do you drive that around? Do you do much riding by yourself there?
No, I have a 2016 Ducati Scrambler that I drive. Yeah. It's push the button and fires up and away you go. Actually, I drove it up here yesterday. I rode it up here yesterday, actually. Yeah, the weather was
beautiful.
Perfect. So yeah. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. I take
so
the
is
side
that
roads up.
Yeah, is that your bike of choice then? Are you a Ducati guy?
an interesting story how that bike came to my possession.
I'd
Do you have a
love to
couple
hear it.
minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd love to hear it.
I've always wanted a Ducati, but Ducatis are way out of my price range for a guy like me. so I once in a while I'd go to the Ducati dealership and I would look at the bikes. I'm going, oh man, these are so cool. But they have a lot of cool bikes, but they're really expensive, right? And then one day I walked in there and I saw this Ducati Scrambler. It was a special edition. They call it an Italia Independent Edition. So it's brown and copper, and it's got special fenders on it. This and that. And I think they only made 1,077 of them. And they had one in there. It was number 743, I believe. So I told my wife, I said, oh man, I said, out of all the bikes I've seen, I said, this bike is perfect for me. But I couldn't afford to buy it. So I just couldn't. I said, and I told my buddy at work who owns the company, I said to him about this bike, and he says, well, you should buy it. I said, I can't, man. I just bought the cottage that same year, right? And I can't afford to buy it. And he goes, oh no, you should buy it. You should just do it. Do something nice for yourself and buy it. I said, I can't. So the next day he comes in, he goes, did you buy that bike yet? And I said, no, I can't afford it, Steve. I can't buy it. And he goes, the next day he says, did you buy that bike yet? And I said, no, I can't afford it. I said, I'm just going to forget about it, right? It's a nice thought, but I'm not going to do it. Well, about a week went past, and him and the other partner, which are good friends of mine, he said, come into my office for a minute. I said, okay. So I'm in there talking to them. He says, let's go out in the shop. Well, they had bought me the bike as a gift.
What?
They bought me the Ducati Scrambler Italia Independent Edition as a gift to me. I had been working there for 20 years at the time. Yeah. So they had bought this bike for me. My name on the ownership and everything. Yeah, it was pretty incredible. They had everybody in the office there in the shop, and the Ducati dealership, the GP Bikes had delivered the bike to the shop. So I didn't even know it was there. I had no idea it was coming. I had nothing. So it was a free gift to me. So that was pretty special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did your wife know or anything, or is it just?
She had no idea. She had no idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No idea. So
that is the coolest story, man.
Yeah. I called her and she came with my kids. Then she brought the kids over so they could see the bike. So yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was really special. Yeah.
Wow. How long ago was that?
2016. That was in September 2016. Yeah. So it's 4 years old, almost 4 years old now. Yeah.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
You got some bikes with some special meanings to them. You got one from the junkyard and one as a gift, and
yeah, and one used to be my brother's. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm actually building two bikes right now, two projects I got going. I have another one going, 1976 Suzuki GT550. It's a two-stroke triple. So I got some special plans for that one. Okay. Yeah, so I got some pretty cool stuff for that one. So
so the other one, you said that you were with the last one that was just featured in pipe burn. Did you try to build that and restore it to like original, or are you just doing your own thing, customizing?
Originally, I did build it original, and then after it had burnt and crashed, I decided to strip it down and start all over. The first thing I actually did with the bike, I bought a set of forks for it from a 1996 Suzuki GSXR600. And at the time, nobody was making kits to adapt those forks to that bike. So what I decided to do, I cut the steer tube off the bike. Actually, first I built a frame jig to keep the bike nice and steady and firm. I cut the steer tube off the bike. I got on the lathe and I made a new steer tube for it to fit the GSXR forks. And then I changed the angle of the steering from 27.5 degrees to 25 degrees to get this steer angle, and I welded it all up nice and straight, and I adapted the forks to it. And then I rebuilt the forks using Racetech gold valves and emulators and custom springs inside it. And then I got Cognito Moto to build me a set of custom triple trees for the bike. So I did that. That was one of the first things. And then I said, well, I can't do the front without doing a good job on the back. So I ended up buying a aluminum swing arm off eBay, and then I got Racetech to build me a set of custom shocks for the back of the bike and to my size and dimensions and all kinds of stuff. So they built that. So I got those on the back. And then I got Cognito Moto to build me some hubs to fit the forks and to house the 1996 GSXR brakes. So I went from a crappy old disc brake in the front to a huge disc in the back with 4-piston calipers. So
Wow.
it's got lots of stopping power, and I use a Brembo brake in the back. So that's all custom made. And sorry, my brother's just walking by.
Oh, you're okay.
So that was that, and I got them to make the wheels for me. I had maybe some custom Warp 9 wheels with spokes on them, and the back tire is now, it went from a 100 mil back tire to 160 mil back tire. So it's really big in the back, and the front tire is huge too. So the bike feels really good. And then what I did, I cut the whole back of the frame off the bike, and I made all new frame tubes, custom bent them, and I raised the back end up about 6 degrees, so it gives a more aggressive look and feel. But the Japanese steel back then wasn't very uniform, and so I couldn't find the right tubing for it. So I had to actually buy tubing that was a little bit larger, and I wanted it to look all uniform. So I put the tubing in the lathe, and I lathed it down a little bit so I get all uniform size tubing, and then I bent it and welded it and did all that stuff too. And I made the seat cowl. That was my first thing I actually molded by hand, was a seat cowl. I did that, and then I made the fender out of aluminum. That was my second thing I ever did by hand. And I made all the headlight brackets myself on the mill and all kinds of stuff. So, and the fuel tank is actually from a Benelli Mojave, but it didn't quite fit the bike. So I cut the front of it off and I stretched it out about 1.5 inches to fit the bike a little bit better. A lot of custom modifications in the bike that I did all by myself, so I'm pretty proud of it. But I didn't think it was going to turn out as good as it did. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, and I actually rebuilt the entire engine from scratch. I took it all apart and put a 30 oversized piston in it. The compression ratio went from about 9-to-1 to 11-to-1. I poured it and polished the head myself. I put a racing cam in it and a big, huge racing carburetor. And I swear to you, the bike is a beast to ride. It went from about 24 horsepower from the factory, which is nothing, but they were torquey for back then, right? I don't know what kind of horsepower it has now, but I have a hard time keeping the front wheel on the ground. I swear, I'll take it down the street here at the cottage, and the front wheel just keeps coming up. Every year it comes coming up, and the back tire will actually spin up on the asphalt, which is... I never thought a bike like that would do something like that. So, yeah, it's pretty hairy. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Actually, I have it up here today, so I might take it up for a little boot later. So,
yeah. Okay,
it's really loud.
Yeah. So my question is, so where do you get all these skills from? You have a mill, you have a lathe, you're welding. Where do these skills come from?
I guess I'm just a handy guy.
Okay.
I've been a mechanic. I've been a mechanic since I was 18. I started as an apprentice mechanic, working on cars for about 6, I guess, I forget how many years actually was for working on cars. And then I left for a while. I worked on some construction equipment, some heavy equipment, loaders and dump trucks and cement mixers, overhead cranes, that kind of stuff. And then my buddy called me up. He had a transport company. He says, "Why don't you come work for me?" He said, "I need some trucks," right? At the time, they only had, I think they had 8 trucks and no trailers. Now we're up to about 60 trucks and just over 400 trailers.
Wow.
So it keeps us busy. So yeah, so just me and my son are working there, and we maintain the whole fleet. So it keeps us really busy. But I do a little bit of woodworking too. So I'm pretty handy, and I love fabricating stuff. I love making stuff, and I love coming up with ideas and changing things. And you can ask my wife. I'm always into modifying stuff, changing it. So sometimes it takes me 10 tries or more to make something the way I like it. Honestly, my scrap pile is probably 20 times bigger than the actual piece I made. I'm not lying. I'm not going to brag that I do it the first time, because I don't. Even I'll make something that I think I like it, put it on the bike, and it's just not right, And so I'll take it off, I'll remake it, I'll retweak it, and then finally I'll get an idea that I come up with that I really like it. So yeah, actually I drive my one son nuts, because I'll tell him, I said, I come up with this idea, let's do this. So he'll draw it up for me, and so let's do it like this. So he'll actually, because he does 3D printing, he'll actually make it for me on the 3D printer before I actually make it. And I look at it, and it's like he'll spend days and days designing it on the 3D on his computer. And I said, Nath, I just don't like it. He's like, "Oh, come on, man." I drive him. I spent all this time making it. And I was like, sorry. I said, well, look at my scrap pile, all the stuff I make, So a lot of trial and error, but I have to say I've learned quite a bit doing that bike. Not so much fabricating stuff, but just the process for the next time. What I should do first and what I should do next and what I should do after that. Because I found on the first one, I actually wasted a lot of time backtracking.
Sure.
Like make something and, this doesn't fit right. So I have to change this to make this fit right. So I think my process is going to be better on the next couple of builds. So I hope I can get them done a lot quicker because I really, really enjoy doing it. I love doing it. So yeah, I love doing it. I love spending the time. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah. So after you've done this one, I'm sorry, I'll let you do that.
No problem.
After doing this and then getting invited to these shows, now do you have the bug to even go further and longer with the next one?
I do. I have the bug real bad, actually. Yeah. And actually, when I'm at work, my brain is just going all the time about what I could do on the bike. What if I do this? What if I do that? What I think is this is going to look good? And what if I change this, change that? All without looking at the bike, but just in my head, right? So, and then I'll go home and I'll play around with some ideas. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it because it actually just the thought of just doing something like that and keeping my brain active and my skills for fabricating have gone up a lot since that first build, actually. Because I don't know if you've seen that little headlight brackets on the bike. If you've noticed
I'm
them.
not sure if I did.
There's a couple of pictures there. I made all the headlight brackets and the rear fender brackets all by hand on the mill. Actually, it's on the pipe burn pictures. Yeah. So I made all those by hand on the mill myself. So that was my first real tough fabricating job on the mill. So I was really shocked that I made them. Actually, my kids were actually pretty shocked that I could make them too. So,
it's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah. So I made all that stuff myself. So, yeah.
Wow.
And all the frame, what's that?
How did you come up with your color for this?
Interesting story. They're all interesting stories, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I had the seat made the previous year, the brown leather, and as I was making the seat cowl to fit the seat, the leather seat, I was putting a little bit of Bondo on there, and I had a piece of painter's tape on there, and the Bondo was kind of green. I said, "Oh crap, that looks really good with the brown leather seat." So I had seen a Porsche on Instagram, an RWDB Porsche, and it was almost the same similar color. So I went to the painter. I said, "Can you make this color?" And he goes, "I don't think I can make it the exact color from a picture. It's really tough, right?" So I spent about 2 hours with them. We were tweaking the color, adding yellow, adding gray, and we came up with that color. So that's the color I chose. So it's a little different.
Yeah, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I had the guy down the street from where I work. He painted it. John Connery Custom Paint. He painted it for me. So he did a really good job. So yeah. It was a pretty different color. Yeah, from a piece of painter's tape and some Bondo. That's what I did.
Some days you don't know where you get your inspiration from. It just might hit you in the side of the head.
Yeah, colors were probably one of the hardest things I had to decide on the bike, actually. The color and the color of the frame, I think, was my most difficult decision to make because I didn't really want a black frame. Everybody does black, right? I don't know. To me, black frames are boring. I don't know. And I like the colors. I like the colors of Craig's bikes. I mean, the shiny chrome and polished look, but I don't think I have those skills to do that yet. I'd want to do it one day, but and Max's frames and the shiny. I love shiny bikes. I really do. So the next thing was I had to paint it powder coated like a silvery color, and I think it turned out really nice. So yeah, it blends in with the green and the brown, and it doesn't stand out too much, and it blends in nicely. It doesn't stand out too much. It doesn't take your eye away from everything else. So I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah.
No, it goes really well. Even the lines in here and just the colors and everything. It's a sharp bike.
I tried to I made that exhaust myself actually, and I custom bent it and I pie cut it all. And I wanted the exhaust to actually match the angles of the frame. So if you look at the exhaust, it's like perpendicular with the frame all the way down and across. So that was that was difficult to do for me, but it turned out pretty nice. And that was
Yeah.
my first stainless steel welding job, my first exhaust I ever made too. So yeah,
Wow.
so a
Well,
lot
if
of
you're
that
doing
bike
this,
is my first.
this is going to be amazing to see what you come up with next. You kind of set the bar high for yourself, but I
I
think
know, I know. That's why my wife was just, what are you gonna do next? I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do next now. It's just, all of a sudden it's like, I have to make something better. I can't make something worse. So, but
right.
I think that GT 550 I have planned is going to be pretty nice. I already have a really good idea for it. I've purchased a 2005 Ducati 749 swing arm for it. So I have to custom make the frame for that because it's going to do a monoshock. I've already started rebuilding the engine. I got some really cool pistons, and I got in contact with a guy in the UK called Higgs Speed, and they make custom two-stroke exhaust. And he's building me a custom-made two-stroke exhaust for that bike, because two-stroke exhausts are very, very, they have to be pretty spot on or the bike won't perform well. It's the combustion chamber, the chamber inside the exhaust that makes the power. So you get it done properly. And so I gave him all the dimensions I wanted because it has a wider swing arm than the factory one. So he changed the whole design of the exhaust for me, and he didn't charge me any extra than the standard price, which is good. I said, how much extra is it going to cost me? He goes, nothing. And actually he shipped it the other day, so I'm waiting for it to come in from the UK.
Oh, wow. It'll be like Christmas.
And yeah, and then I got in contact with Electron Carburetors. I think they're in California. And I talked to Brent down there, and they were offering a 50% discount to guys from the Hand Built show. But the sale ended March the 30th. But I got in contact with them, but they were closed down for the COVID thing until June 1st. So I got in contact with them and gave him all the specs, the cars I wanted for that bike. He says, no problem, I can make them for you. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm a invited hand-built builder. Are you still offering that 50% discount? He says, he is. So he's making these 3 carburetors for me with a custom machining for 50% discount. So that was really, really good for him. Yeah. So last time I heard, he just started making them last week. So he's going to probably ship them out to me next week or something like that. So wow. Yeah, I have to tell you that I've only been doing this for a short amount of time, as you can see. And I have to say, I have not met one person in this industry that hasn't been, honestly, from the people I talk to who build parts, make parts, and people on Instagram, everybody's been super nice, super friendly, and really approachable. Like I've gotten in contact with Hugo Eccles.
Yeah,
have him take a look at my bike for me, see what he thought. He actually looked at it and told me and thought what he thought of it, and liked a few pictures. And Sophie, the GT Moto, I got in contact with her, and she looked at it for me. She thought it was great, and this and that. So, I mean, people that I never thought would consider looking at my bike, or even take the time to look at it. Everybody's been really nice about everything, like even the guys I buy parts off of, everybody's been really helpful, and all kinds of people, even the people I meet up here, like some of the local builders, like Rob Chappell from The Originator. You know him, you had him on your show. He actually lives pretty close to me, actually. Oh, and great guy. He actually, we go back and forth once in a while. I was just at his place a couple of weeks ago. I rode my bike over there, so nice. And so he came over, looked at my bike when I was making it, and suggested a few things, and a couple other guys. Everybody's been really really nice. Like I said, I haven't met one person I haven't really liked in this industry yet, which is really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've had almost 100 people talk to me, and nobody's told me to go F off or anything yet. So, and they know I don't know shit about what I'm talking about.
I love your show, man. I love your show. I listen to it all the time. Yeah. My wife's come in the garage. She says, what are you listening to? I'm listening to the Pigeon Whole Podcast, man. I'm sitting there laughing my head off. It's cool.
You know what? And I guess I never thought about it, but listening to everybody, and their different styles and how they build stuff. Just the way people think. I think you guys have so much in common that there's obvious huge similarities of everybody that does what you guys do.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to getting my next 1 and 2 bikes going. Like even like up here, I'm working on my deck on the front of the cottage there. I'm working on that this morning. As I'm working on it, I'm thinking about, okay, how's this?
You got some problems, man.
I do have a very obsessive nature. So
right.
I've always had this thought. Like I always thought, if this guy could do it, and this guy could do it, I know I can do it. Maybe I won't be able to do it as well the first time or the second time as well as that guy, but maybe it's the third time or the fourth time I might get there, you know. So that's I've always had that philosophy for myself. I said, well, you know, if this guy can build that deck, I know I can build that deck. So I build
Sure.
my own decks. You know, I renovate my whole house myself. I built my own kitchen from scratch. I buy the wood from the lumber yard, from the mill. I mill it all down myself. I make my own cabinets. I do all that stuff. I renovated this entire cottage. My wife helps me a lot. I can't say that. She helps me a lot. We ripped this entire cottage apart. I redid all the plumbing, all the wiring. You know, I do everything myself. So, so
Wow.
as I say, if this guy can do it, I know I can do it. So, you know, so that's
Sure.
always been my philosophy. So I really enjoy it. Yeah, I really
No.
enjoy it. I see
Okay,
you got
so-
some nice Buzz visual pictures back there.
Oh yeah, I got to keep my Buzz stuff right here. You know,
Buzz is doing one for me, eh? Buzz is
yeah.
doing one for me.
Is he
He
really?
is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I sent him the photo there a couple weeks ago, so he says he's already started it. So
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, he's such a genuine, great guy, and obviously
Oh, yeah.
super talented as well. So that's
amazing guy.
yeah. Okay, so tell
And
me
also
this too.
sorry.
Amazing guys.
Yeah.
So doing this build, and obviously you follow a lot of guys on Instagram and everything like this.
Yeah.
Can you nail down some people that have been really like, or people have been inspiring to you to push harder and go long on this bike?
Well, obviously, Craig Rodsmith is a good buddy of yours. I look at his stuff, and his stuff to me looks totally out of reach for me right now. But I think might get halfway there one day. Like I see that bike he's working on that Ducati. I guess that's his own bike. And I'm looking at the gas tank and the tail section, and I'm going like, what the heck, man? Like, how does he build that stuff? You know, like what the heck? Like, how does he build that? You know, it's insane. You know,
Right.
I can't even imagine. Oh, I can imagine doing it, but I just can't see my skills at that level for a while, anyways. But he's a
Sure.
very big inspiration to me. Actually, Max Hazen, I see his stuff, and actually, you know what guy I really like is that Colt Wrangler.
Colt's a great dude and
He's
very
building that
talented
one.
guy.
Oh, he's building that. I think he's building an XS650 right now, and he's got some serious bodywork on that bike. Like the detail on even the nuts and the bolts on the engine, how he's drilled all the head and the fins on it and the tail section. Like I look at that and I see a lot of my style in his bikes. Very simple, very clean, and that's what I really like. Simple, clean, and effective. You know, I don't like too much going on there. So it's like, but I love his style. Hugo Eccles, I love his style too. Like he makes some amazing stuff. Obviously Rob Chappell, no, he makes some really cool bikes and very skilled guy, you know.
Yeah.
And who else there's like, oh, there's so many guys I just can't think of it. I don't know if you ever heard of Evan Wilcox.
Yes.
He does a lot of fuel tanks. Like I watch his stuff and how he fuel tanks, and to me it's like this guy is a master, man. He's a master at metalwork, and he's like insane. He goes, no, he says I'm not a master. He says, honestly, I make a lot of mistakes. I said, well, I don't know, but this sure looks pretty darn good. There's another guy there. I think he's in New York. I think his name is Nick Colangelo or something. He's a Catskills Mountain Customs. He's really good too. Yeah, he's really good too. Like his fabrication skills are really good. So I watch. He's got a YouTube channel that I watch, and how he makes fuel tanks and fenders and that kind of stuff. So I'm really inspired by those kind of guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
couple
nice.
of guys in Europe too that I really like watching. That guy Atler. I forget what his name is. And there's the other guy there. I think he's a Russian guy from Russia. I can't remember his name. He built that BMW recently. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm so bad at remembering anything.
Yeah, but he's got his stuff is like way up there, the stratosphere. So, yeah. But it's always inspiring to see these guys do that kind of stuff, you know. Yeah.
Right.
But I also like a bike to perform well, too, and not only look good, but I like to be able to ride it and be rideable and actually perform well too. So that's another thing I like about Walt Siegel's bikes. I know his Ducatis, and like those bikes, they look great and they perform fantastic. So yeah, there's a guy here in Toronto that has 2 of his bikes actually. So
Really?
and and I see them around once in a while, and they're beautiful bikes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're made by,
Yeah.
so those kind of guys, they really inspired me. Those kind of guys, but yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
you have on your motorcycle bucket list? Do you have anything fun? Any places you want to go see? Events, shows, anything?
Well, I want to go to the hand build show for sure. I mean, in November, as long as it goes. I mean, I like to go to the one show in Portland one day. The Mama Tried. I like to go there. I like to go to the Moon Eyes in Japan one day.
Yeah, me too.
That looks like a phenomenal show to go to. Like, just the culture around that show and all that kind of stuff is just, it looks like mind blowing just to go there. You know, that's really really go to. And I know you're going to the Bonneville Salt Flats shortly.
Yes, I am. Thank God.
I would love to go there.
Yeah.
So I also would like to ride my bike on the east coast of Canada. I want to go to the east coast of Canada on the bike, but I need a bigger bike to ride. My bike would kill my back after about 2 hours, so I couldn't do it. So I need a bigger bike for that, and I would like to go to the mountains and ride the mountains in Western Canada. That's supposed to be a really nice ride. I like to go everywhere. I want to go do that Tail of the Dragon. I think it's in Tennessee. I think it is. That road down there, it's like 11 miles of twisty, turny roads. I love to go do that, all that kind of stuff. I'd like to go a lot of places, just finding the time and the money to do it. So.
Right. It sounds like you got your hands full over there anyway. You're a pretty busy guy.
Yeah. I like staying busy. So yeah. I work at my job. I work about 12 hours a day there. So I start at 5 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it keeps me pretty busy. Yeah.
Wow. And then come home and work on your bike?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm in the garage till 10:30 at nighttime working on my bike. So, yeah.
You're crazy.
Not in the last couple of weeks has been too hot though. I haven't been working there that much. It's been like really hot here last couple of weeks. So, I try to stay away from the garage too much. Maybe like an hour or two. That's about it.
Yeah. No, that's good too.
It's so hot.
Here's a question I just thought of. So when you guys are bringing a bike from like Canada down to like Texas, is there a big problem getting bikes across from Canada to the United States?
Apparently not. I've never tried it, but Rob Chappell brought one back, and a couple other people I know, they said there's no problem at all. As long as you have the ownership for it, it's not. I don't think it's a big issue. So, I hope not, anyways.
Yeah. Let's see. How long is it going to take you to get to Texas from?
It's 2,000. It's 2,600 kilometers from my house. It's apparently about 28-hour drive. They say nonstop. So, I like driving. So I'm not afraid to drive it.
Yeah. No, that'll be a interesting one.
I think just the high of going to the show is going to keep me going anyway. So I'm not really too worried about it. And I'll just take my time. I'll take a couple of days up beforehand and a couple of days after to drive up. So
yeah,
I just gotta find somebody to come down with me just to share the ride with me. So
that would be a good thing. Yeah, I always say driving to a new place when you're excited seems to go by really fast, but then the ride home for me is always like, no, this is longer than hell.
The ride home is it's nasty. Yeah. I know somebody that went from here to Portland in February, and they said they would never do it again. Driving through the snowstorms over there, the guy said he would never do it again. So
it's crazy.
Oh yeah. I think the last person I know, I don't know if you follow her, Super Lisa. She's here in Toronto. She's here. She built a CB. I think it was a CX500, really cool bike. She was she was there at the one show with her bike, and she actually flew it out to Vancouver, then drove it the rest of the way. The back of the truck, she says, was much nicer than driving it taking it all the way out there. So
it's just a long way away,
especially in the wintertime too.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that I'll be at the one show as long as they'll let me go and hang out. But but I'm happy flying, and even a flight is 5 hours almost from Chicago,
yeah. It's quite a long ways. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. All right,
well, that's supposed to be really nice show. Sorry.
Yeah, well, wrapping up here. I obviously, have you missed an episode of the show yet? Is there somebody you missed? Are you behind?
I don't think so. I think I've listened to almost all of them, pretty much. So
nice.
Pretty much all of them. Like all of them. I've enjoyed all of them. Yeah, all of them have been really, really. It's nice just to hear different people's the way they do things and how they approach
Yes.
different ideas, and all the different hardships they've encountered, and
Yeah.
what keeps them going. I find a lot of guys, like some of the guys, you can feel like they've sometimes they'll almost like stall on something, and use just something to keep them going all the time, which is pretty inspiring sometimes. That's just to hear what keeps them going, because it's some of the stuff could be pretty. It's a long haul doing some of the stuff. Just to make one little piece, I find sometimes takes me days to make one little piece, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
actually, I had a
And
guy call me the other day and wanted me to build a bike for him, so which is kind of cool, but I don't know if I'm up to that yet, so we'll see.
wow.
So,
Well,
yeah, the guy called me.
congratulations.
Yeah, the guy called me. He's got a '73 CB750. He says, "Would you mind? Do you have room for one more CB750 in your garage?" I said, "I thought he wanted to sell me the bike." I said, "Well, I always have room for a CB750, right?" He says, "No, I want you to fix it up for him. Do this to it. Do this to it." I said, "Well," I said, "Call me back in a couple of weeks and we'll talk about it." I said, "So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes if I have the time."
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, that's good. So I think that obviously there's a lot of good things in the motorcycle world happening for you in the last year here, man. It's
so
exciting.
fast too. It's so fast, and it's very exciting. Right? My adrenaline, like I have lots of energy anyways, but this really pumps me up a lot. It's like, yeah, I don't stop. The only time I ever stop is when that's it. They hit the pillow, then I might crash right out. So
Get up and do it all over
yeah,
again.
yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's
I,
a cool industry. It's a really cool industry. I meet a lot of cool people, I have to say. Like even the guys that come in and bring me their parts for doing vapor blasting. I've met some really cool guys that build some really nice bikes. Yeah, there's a guy that's not too far from where I am, Steve Canelos, and he builds some amazing bikes, like resto mod super bikes, like CBX 1000s and 750s and Cowies. Like these things are top notch restorations, and
right.
so he's a super guy to know, and really cool guy, and his friend Tony from BSB Moto, he builds some super bikes. He actually had a bike I think he had one of his bikes was featured in Bike XF last week. I think it was a Suzuki 1000 or something like that. So his bike was in there, and he's not too far from me either. So these guys, I meet these guys, I talk to them all the time. So it's nice to chat with these guys and see what they have going. So it's really cool. Yeah, the industry is really cool. It's actually a very small
Very
group.
small.
If you think, it's really small. Considering everybody's spread out all over the world, it's pretty small. Like it's not that big, really. Yeah, it's
I
pretty
agree.
cool. It's nice to talk to these guys sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
that's what I like too, is because Craig and I have had that conversation too, talking about actually in the custom motorcycle industry, if you take it in the grand scheme of things, is a
Yeah,
very, very, very small, tight knit group.
it is very small, very small. Everybody seems to know everybody. It's like, and like I said, haven't met or talked to anybody yet that hasn't, has said anything negative or didn't want to talk back or try to give me an idea or some help on something. So everybody's been really helpful, and it's really
Right.
cool. It's really cool.
No,
So
that is
I really
awesome.
enjoy it.
All right, Spero, it's nomination time for you.
Oh, okay.
That's what was my point before when I asked you, because
Sorry.
if you've
Sorry,
listened, no.
I know I talk too much. I know. Sorry.
No, man, it's great. It's great. I just like to, especially from you, who's listened to the majority of everything that we've done.
Yeah.
I think you're probably the best person to say, "Hey, who do you think? What am I missing here? Who do you think that I should be talking to that you would find interesting? You personally." I want
I
three
wrote a
people
couple
at
things down
least.
here.
Good. Thank
Well,
you.
I have to say, I think one of the guys I'd really like to hear from is Bear from Old Bike Barn. He
Mhm.
puts on the Greasy Dozen show, and this guy, honestly, he's very, very generous. I mean, he sponsors that show, and I think he sponsors the Glory Days and Mama Tried and a bunch of other stuff too. And this guy donates $750 per builder in that Greasy Dozen. So he gives like discounts, like basically gives you $750 to buy stuff at the shop for free. like
Wow.
for each guy. That's 13 people, $750, and plus he puts on the show and does all this stuff. Now this year, obviously, it got canceled, but we have to submit all our pictures and stuff like that. And he's going to put them all together and put it into like a video book or something like that.
Sure.
And he's going to get the girl from Pipe Dream Illustrations to do a drawing of all the bikes. So this guy, he's paying for all that stuff. The guy is like super, super generous. I really like to hear. I've never actually heard him talk anywhere. I'd like to hear from him. He'd be a really cool guy to hear. Also,
Awesome.
Evan Wilcox, if you can get him on there. Like he seems like a real genuine, honest guy who's got super amounts of talent. I'd love to hear from that guy.
Right.
He does. I've chatted with him on Instagram a couple of times, and doesn't ever, if I ask him a question, he always comes back and tells me what I should try and this and that. So he's a really cool guy to talk to. I think I'd love to hear from him. Yeah.
Cool. Do you know what Evan's Instagram is? Because every time
I think it's just
up,
Evan Wilcox. I think it's just Evan Wilcox.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe
I'll look at
search
it because I know that every time I look him up on here, I get like 20 Evan Wilcoxes. So send it to me when we're done.
I will.
So
I will.
I can mark it in here too.
Also, the guy who runs the Glory Days in Pittsburgh, Kurt Distro. I think his Instagram is Glory Days PGH.
And is it Glory Days like Daze, like D-A-Z?
D-A-Z-Y. Yeah, D-A-Z-Y. D-E-Z-E, yeah. And he's a super cool guy. Him and his wife put that show together. And I went to a last spectator, and he does a really, really great job. Like, really cool. I'd like to hear from him. He's a pretty interesting guy.
Yeah.
Excellent. He builds some bikes also. And the guy from Catskill Mountain Customs.
Yes.
Nick Collect. Yeah, he'd be an interesting guy to talk to because he does that YouTube channel where he does some fabrication and shows people how to build stuff. So he seems he's very he'll talk to you if I email him how do you do this, he'll tell me how to try this and try that, and the guy's very helpful. It's like, so I think I'd like to hear from him. Yeah,
that's awesome.
He's cool. Yeah.
You know,
so I think that's 4 or 5 of them. So
yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, and those are great because you know what I like, as you know, I like to go all over the place. Even from our last episode was a lot different than the episode before, and this one will be totally different than the other one. So we just
that was a cool episode last week. I enjoy all of them, honestly. I do enjoy all of them. Yeah, especially those 2 guys from India. Those guys they had me on the ground laughing so hard. It's like,
yeah,
all those guys are cool.
And we got a bunch, so we're going to be taking we have another girl that's done a lot of just all across the whole world driving. She's from India, too, and it's going to be a wonderful one coming up soon, too.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that'd be a nice place to go ride a bike someday.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Exactly,
Spero,
exactly.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time for me today. And congratulations.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, you're great. But congratulations on the Piper article. Congratulations on all these invitations you're getting. Just keep kicking ass, man. You're doing great.
I'm going to. I'll keep in touch with you for sure, man. Hopefully you can meet up at the Hand Build show if it's a go in November.
We're just saying it's happening. That's it. We're just saying it's happening.
Exactly.
It's going to happen. So that's good.
Exactly. I hope so.
And
great,
folks,
Dave.
listen. If we didn't tell you again, just make sure if you look up just Spetzo, S-P-E-T-Z-O.
Zeto. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And give him a follow. Check out his stuff. It's awesome stuff. And I appreciate everybody listening in today. And man, thank you again for your time. And have a great weekend,
Dave.
man.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care.
No worries.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.